Thank you for tuning in again to the Political Spectrum podcast. My name is Hunter Spencer. With us today is Bennett Morris here to talk to us about ranked choice voting. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Bennett, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and how you got involved in politics?
Yeah, I've been in politics most of my life in various capacities. Started working on campaigns while I was in high school. Grew up a Republican and was part of the college Republicans at Illinois State when I was there. But quickly found a passion outside of the Republican Party, and my views have shifted since then. Became involved in the Libertarian Party, where I was the chair of the McLean County Libertarian Party and the Libertarian Party of Illinois, so the state party, and have since had another change of heart recently with some changes to the Libertarian Party. I no longer carry that Libertarian label, so I'm currently politically homeless and really found an interest in finding some pragmatic solutions to making elections more democratic, and found that ranked choice voting would be a good way to get involved.
Well, it's always good to hear that people, do change their views and throughout their lives. It's not just one and done. So how did you get involved with ranked choice voting? You mentioned making elections more democratic, having more representation, but how did you come to embrace ranked choice voting as that path?
Yeah, well, I had always been kind of focused on policy for a long time, and found that, really policy is dictated by those that are willing to sell their soul to the highest bidder, so to speak. And really, the two old corporate parties kind of play this duopoly game. And really, I found, if you're going to influence policy, it's really an uphill battle. What we really need to do is focus on process and the process by which these people in power get elected. And so I think ranked choice voting, I had some engagement with Fair Vote Illinois when I was chair of the Libertarian Party of Illinois. They have some resources about ballot access, and that was obviously an uphill battle for anyone who's not in the two old parties. And so when I left the Libertarian Party and was looking for opportunities to get involved politically, Fair Vote has really focused on ranked choice voting. And so that's who I reached out to. And actually another member of their board was a member of the Libertarian Party. And so got involved there, and Bloomington is kind of a unique place for elections, because McLean County does all of the elections outside of Bloomington, but the city of Bloomington has its own election authority. And so I thought it might be interesting to see if Fair Vote was targeting Bloomington as a potential opportunity to showcase what ranked choice voting could do. And so, that's how I got involved.
Thank you. So did you find that they were targeting Bloomington as a kind of practice area for this, or is it just like throughout Illinois as a whole?
Well, Illinois, with everything with elections, is tricky. So, so there are obviously efforts in the General Assembly to implement ranked choice voting for things like presidential primaries. But Evanston has just passed ranked choice voting in their municipality. And I thought it'd be interesting, since we do have a specific city election authority. I think there's only a few in the state that have that set up. That might be a good opportunity to showcase what ranked choice voting can do, especially since those are nonpartisan races and sometimes have more than 2 candidates running. In fact, the mayor of Bloomington just won in 2021 with less than a majority. And that's not to say that he wouldn't have got a majority with ranked choice voting. But the benefit of ranked choice voting is you have to have a majority support in order to win the election. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of highlights one thing that Bloomington could benefit from with ranked choice voting is in those races with more than 2 candidates.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing I liked about ranked choice voting is that it requires a candidate get at least 50% of the vote. It's not just like, a majority of the votes cast. So you had mentioned when, this is excellent when there's more than 2 candidates. What happens when there's 20 candidates? How does the ballot represent all of the candidates without making the text, difficult to read, or, the ballot's super long, it's already on, longer paper than usual. So how would that be encountered?
Sure. Well, first of all, I would say that would be awesome if we had a race where 20 people in our community were interested in actually running for office. I think currently the way that we do elections prevents people from wanting to run for office. The negative campaigning, the winner-take-all process, the factions, the extremism, the increased amount of extremism that we've seen in our politics. So it would be great to see 20 people excited to run for a particular race. I will say I don't remember the name of the organization, but you can find it on fairvote.org. Different types of ballot setups. So the traditional way that you would set it up is a grid, and you'd have the candidates on the y-axis and the rank order on the x-axis. If you ran out of space for columns, because obviously the ballot can be long, but it can't be wider than it needs to be. So there are ways to set that up where basically you put the name of the candidate, you give all of the ordered options essentially as rows, and then you give the other candidate and then the same number of rows. Okay. So you would be able to do that. It would look pretty clunky, but that said, that is an extreme example. In most cases, you're going to have, for example, the Heartland Board of Trustees. You might have 6 candidates running, and that's totally manageable in what we have.
Okay, thank you. So you had mentioned, the extremism. So do you think that's something that ranked choice voting can resolve, or do you think it will resolve itself with time as we move forward and we start to become more moderate as a community and a people? Or do you think that the extreme 2-party system that we have today with Republicans and Democrats, not Libertarians, will continue to prevail?
Well, if you have ranked choice voting, so first of all, the system that we have today it benefits folks that are extremists. Mm-hmm. It benefits the most extreme factions because coming out of primaries, those primary voters are more likely to believe what that party believes. Yeah. If you have a ranked choice voting system, you get more of that consensus. And so when it comes to the extremism in politics today, obviously it would be great to have more than 2 parties. That's not going to happen anytime soon. But we could.
I was hoping the Hunter Party was gonna get its head start here.
Well, you could try, but you might want to try outside of Illinois because Illinois' ballot access is really rough. But that being said, we can move in that direction. If you want, we have the presidential primaries coming up.
March 19th, get out and vote.
And, if you want some of the two old corporate parties to put out candidates that are more aligned with the consensus instead of these extremist candidates, then I think ranked choice voting would be perfect for that. You have to get support from people who you wouldn't normally talk to. That's a huge benefit of ranked choice voting is that you the negative campaigning is minimized. Because you can't alienate voters, whereas right now that is the goal is to alienate the voters of another candidate. You see places that do have ranked choice voting, like Maine. You have candidates who are competing against each other, actually running ads together, saying, "Hey, if I'm not your first choice, please make me your second choice." And so I think some of that will be eliminated with ranked choice voting, and people who get to experience ranked choice voting, those voters in Maine and Alaska, have said overwhelmingly that it's easy to use and that they would like to see it expanded.
Okay. Going along with that, will ranked choice voting help eliminate the power the Democratic and Republican parties have currently over the ballot access in Illinois? And because a lot of people don't know that it's very difficult for a third party or for a independent candidate to get on the ballot in Illinois, and that's because of laws passed by the General Assembly.
Yeah, I think so. There's two things there. One, I think if we can change how elections are run, you also can influence. You need to influence the laws around ballot access, because right now, the number of petition signatures that are required are based on your performance in the previous election. Well, the performance in a ranked choice voting election would be different than the performance in the elections that we have now. So if you need to be considered a major party in Illinois or in any county or municipality in the state, need to exceed 5% of the vote in the previous election. What does that mean? Is that 5% of the first vote, the first your initial choice? Yeah. Is that 5% of the final tally? What is that? What does that mean? Is that 5% total of people who have selected you as any of those choices? What does that mean? And so that would need to ranked choice voting would then necessitate a change in the law to some of those things. So I think that's the first thing. So the second point I want to make is just the interest in voting for and running as a third-party candidate. With ranked choice voting, there is no strategic voting. You can truly choose your preference. There's no benefit to only voting for one of those candidates. You pick your preference, and so if that is more feasible to win as a third party candidate, first of all, there will be more interest in developing new third parties. They probably wouldn't be called third parties anymore, and I think the Republicans and Democrats would need to compete. And that's why I think there is some pushback to ranked choice voting, because those people in power will need to change their strategy. And that strategy works for them right now, where it's almost intentional that you have this duopoly where one party believes one thing, the other party believes the opposite of it for no ideological purpose.
Yeah.
It's solely because it is easier to get those donations for those issue-based topics. If you have a pro-life party and a pro-choice party, you have a anti-immigration party, and a pro-immigration party. It's not around any ideological platform anymore. It's really just okay. We're the red team and we're the blue team, and for this issue you pay these people. For this issue you pay these people.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that a lot in politics today, especially in congressional hearings. It's like that has nothing to do with the issue at hand. You're just bringing it up because you want to, and it's because the other party dislikes it.
Yeah. So,
going along with congressional hearings, I'm kind of strange. I watch British politicians as well. So I watch the House of Commons a lot. It's really funny when you just sit down and watch the funny moments. It's like, why don't we do this?
Yeah.
And one thing that I notice with them is that they have a lot of, we'll call them minor parties. We have the Conservatives and the Labours is what they're called there. Or I suppose it would be the Tories and the Labours. Do you think we would see more of these like niche parties? For example, there's the Scottish National Party. Do you think we would be seeing more things based on the people in Utah, would they have a Mormon party or something?
I think it would be great to have more issue-based political parties, or just competing ideas. There are not only two solutions to every problem. That is probably a fundamental reason why I'm so passionate about this. Is we need more voices in the dialogue. There are more than two ways to accomplish reforms, and so when you limit your choices to just two parties, you're eliminating even the possibility of thinking differently or nuance. I mean, we have no nuance in our current political environment. You have people voting by party line just because that's what my team says we need to vote for. Not because of any interest in what the voters in your jurisdiction even care about.
Yeah, and that goes back again to the party stuff is just because if you read Mitt Romney's new book, he's talking about there's a lot of Republicans in the Senate who disliked Trump, but they still voted along party lines because they were pressured to do so. And I definitely think ranked choice voting could help with relieving some of that pressure and making it more a moderate Congress and representation.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. Bennett, thank you very much for coming in and talking about ranked choice voting.
Can I plug?
You can plug anything you'd like, sir. We welcome this.
Yeah, so definitely if you're interested in ranked choice voting or bringing ranked choice voting to McLean County, go to fairvoteillinois.org and sign up. We are really excited to be involved in this with the League of Women Voters. So if you're participating in the League of Women Voters, you'll also be hearing more and more about ranked choice voting. And if you have been kind of steered away from the political world, kind of like I have, but you're interested in making some change, I think this is a really great nonpartisan way to get involved and to make change.
Okay. And speaking of ways to get involved, I'll do my own little plug here. The Political Science Club at Heartland Community College, we do meet weekly. If you are wanting to get involved with your politics, either local or regional or whatever, come seek us out. We will help you. We're open to everybody. You do not have to be a student to be a participant. You do have to be a student to be an officer, though, so be aware of that. But that's everything I can think of. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Political Spectrum Podcast. The podcast is hosted by the leadership of the Political Science Club at Heartland Community College. As we enter into our winter holidays, the club leadership would like to wish you all our listeners a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, a joyous Kwanzaa, and a festive New Year. Thank you.